Just go for it! I like the dark stuff. Give me the dark stuff. I like the dark stuff. Give me the dark stuff.
Hey there, everybody. It's me, your buddy Dave, the host of the Dark Stuff channel here on YouTube. Thanks for checking out the new video. This is going to be a recent pickups video, and I'm going to throw in a little record store day because my record store day was a total bust this time around. I did get two things, but they were sort of like afterthoughts, and they weren't anything that I really was thinking about ahead of time that I wanted, but we'll get to that in a second. So we're going to do some stuff here. These are mostly just the last few weeks or so that I picked up. I have made a couple of trips. There's my cat Miles bothering me here behind me. To record stores, and I've gotten a few things. And then there was about 4 or 5 records that I bought pre-quarantine at half-price books that I completely spaced, and I hid them. Not hid them. I put them to the side of my records, and I intended on both listening and then filing them. And then I completely forgot that I even had them. So I've now listened to them, and we'll throw them in on this one. Like I said, Record Store Day was kind of a bust for me this year. I didn't, because of the COVID and because of my general aversion to waiting in lines, I didn't go until about 4 o'clock. I hit 2 stores. I hit Homer's. I hit Recycled Sounds here in Omaha. And there was nothing on this list that I really had to have. Next time, which is coming up at the end of September, there's a Replacements live record that I'm going to get that I really want. But this time around, there wasn't that much that I just felt compelled to do. So I ended up getting 2 things. One the first day, which is on Saturday. I got the reissue of the first Surfer Blood album, Astro Coast. And this is a double vinyl now. It used to be just a single. Whoops, there's the poster. So you got the gatefold. Comes with a poster of the band from with a picture of them from back in 2009. I've done a lot of drugs today. That was a joke. Just kidding. Anyways, the album itself is the same album. It doesn't say anything about being remixed, remastered, or anything like that. But when I put it on and I listened to it for the first time, so it is on blue vinyl. Kind of an ugly blue, though. I don't really like it. It's kind of transparent blue. And then these kind of custom labels, although I don't know how custom they are because that's just the K9 Records logo, so maybe they're not that custom. So I've heard this album 1,000 times. I bought the CD when it first came out. It was on vinyl at the time. I just chose not to get it. I think it was the CD I got as a promo maybe for the radio show. This was their breakthrough. Swim was the single. It got a lot of buzz. The album came out. People were instantly interested. And this is still, in my opinion, their best album. Now, the bonus tracks, or the second record, features a lot of demos. So you got Fast Jabroni demo. You got the Catholic Pagans, acoustic. You got some live stuff, a couple of tracks live in Baltimore. And then mostly just live in Austin. So demos and some live cuts. I haven't listened to the bonus tracks yet, but I did give this one a spin on vinyl, and it sounded so weird to me. I don't know. Like I said, I've heard this album a million times, and when I put it on, I dropped the needle down, and all of a sudden it just sounded so completely different. A big component of Surfer Blood's sound is they do drown everything in tons of echo and reverb, and then it just bounce. The vocals tend to bounce all over the place. The guitars have this really high-end sheen that seems to bounce all over the place, and that was just exaggerated by a million times when you hear the vinyl. It was so different that when I got to side 2 and I put on the song Twin Peaks on here, and I immediately stopped it and picked the needle up, and then I went to the CD to play it because I had to see, am I remembering this wrong? Why does it sound so different? So I don't know. Maybe this is the way it was supposed to sound, and the CD is just very, very compressed. I don't know. But I don't see anything about this being a remaster or remix. So I'm assuming these were just from the same original master tapes. But anyways, it is a cool thing. It was my main record store day purchase, the day of the thing. I went back, had an appointment in downtown Omaha, and that's where Homer's is. So I went back a second time before my appointment, and I picked up this Guided by Voices Hold on Hope EP, which is actually just a repress of a record they put out 20 years ago. It's on TVT Records. I don't know if TVT is still a thing, but they're using their logo. And this was from the record, the first record they did with Rick Ocasek. And Hold on Hope is the only album cut. The rest of these are B-sides. So you got 8 unknown tracks. Half of them are Rick Ocasek, and then half of them are just GBV themselves. None of them really stood out that much, except for this song called Avalanche Aminos on side B, which was actually really good. The record itself, it's a 10-inch, which I find kind of useless because I don't have any jackets for them, but this blue splatter vinyl is pretty cool. So I don't know, like, I went back to see one because I probably would have bought that David Bowie Changes Now thing, but I thought it was the same Changes that has been out since the early 90s, and I didn't really look at it that closely. And then I saw some people's videos who were talking about how it's just this live stuff from 96. So I missed out on that, and unfortunately I don't know if I'll be able to get another one. I'm not going to try to chase it. I mean, I'm not that big of a Bowie guy. So while I was there at Homer's getting this record store stuff, I also picked up a few other things.
The cowboy drinks himself to death fresh out of rehab while they're loading all the rifles.
First and foremost is the new Bright Eyes album, okay, which is called Down in the Weeds Where the World Once Was. Okay, the first new Bright Eyes album since 2011, when he put out a record called The People's Key. Now, I love that it's a die cut thing there, okay, so that then you see the vinyl inside, and you've got one that's red, and again, custom labels. It's on the Dead Oceans label, but they're putting that Bright Eyes with the backwards eyes or whatever. The second record is orange. And then you've got this lyric sheet booklet, which again has the die cut part right there. So you get all of the lyrics, you get all of the credits, etc. So it's a really, really cool record. I've listened to it twice so far, and once on vinyl and once digitally, just to see if I could tell any sort of difference, you know. And I'm already a fan, so I don't really need convincing. I've seen some kind of mixed reviews out there on the internet. I know that Anthony Fantano guy kind of gave it a mixed review, said he thought it was sort of boring in parts and whatever. I don't know. I will say that the one thing that I noticed about it is a little bit closer stylistically to older Bright Eyes, early 2000s, you know, that period, Lifted, Wide Awake It's Morning, etc. Some of his considered his best stuff. Less so like The People's Key, which was his last album as Bright Eyes, which had real shiny, bright guitars, and it was very loud, and it was more rockers, which I actually really liked. You know, I liked that sound, but I guess a lot of the more diehard fans didn't appreciate it as much. I don't know. Anyways, that's the sound of the new record. The packaging is cool as fuck. And, you know, maybe someday we'll get a Bright Eyes tour out of it. I just don't know. I also picked up a couple of CDs while I was there, and not record store related, but just new releases that I wanted to pick up. And the first was the Stooges live at Goose Lake in August of 1970. It's a recently dug up live recording of the band at a music festival in 1970, and Third Man has just put it out. The recording quality is a little rough. I mean, it is technically a bootleg from 1970, and recording quality, even professional recording quality of recording live things, was not exactly what it is today. So it is a little rough, but if you're a Stooges fan, you're going to really dig this. I think it might have been Dave Alexander, the original bass player's final show, because I just recently learned that they did some shows after this with a different guy before they broke up and then reformed as Iggy and the Stooges. But anyways, cool to hear them live at that point. I've heard some live recordings of the original Stooges. This is a good thing. I'm glad I added to the collection. And vinyl, it would have been really, really expensive. I think it was in $30 or something. And I just didn't feel like it was worth it for a recording that's this kind of rough. CD was good enough for me. And then, just because I love the Pretenders, I picked up the new one, Hate for Sale. And I've been listening to it. The title track, Hate for Sale, is pretty aggro. And it's like, you know, Chrissy Hynde, she's all pissed off, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's 2020 and everyone's mad and all that. And I get it. I agree. The rest of the album is a little bit more typical Pretenders, that kind of early 80s jangly sort of pop. And it's really good. I mean, I love Chrissy Hynde. So, of course, I'm probably going to end up liking it, you know. So when I went back for the second time and I bought that Guided by Voices, I didn't just walk out with that. I decided to get some used CDs. So I picked up this one first, The Best of King's X. Late 80s, early 90s kind of alternative hard rock band. And I always liked them. I used to have that album, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, which was, I think, late 80s. Maybe it was early 90s. I don't remember when it came out. I thought these guys had a unique sound. They're pretty, you know, polished hard rock, but they have this really different melodic sense, the way that they sing and stuff like that. The song Black Flag has always been one of my favorite songs. And then they have this other song, a great song called Over My Head. And unfortunately, the studio version is not included on this. They just put a live version, which is like 10 minutes. Folks, you know my aversion to 10-minute songs. I just don't want to hear it. So unfortunately, the only flaw in this CD, it's the only King's X I have now, but is that I don't get a studio recording of Over My Head. Just a live recording. That's a little bit disappointing. And then these are two pickups that I used to have that digitally, and that when my computer crashed like a year and a half ago, I lost them. This one is the Rage Against the Machine album, Renegades. This was their covers album, which I think is brilliant. I mean, say what you want about Rage Against the Machine. Maybe you're some right-winger and you don't like their politics. Whatever. Anyways, this is mostly rap covers, but they also cover Devo. They cover MC5, Eric B. and Rakim, like I said. Minor Threat. They cover Cypress Hill, Bruce Springsteen, The Stooges, Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan. Wide range of source material for this. And I remembered it being great. It got wiped out off my computer, and I didn't have it for a while. And I was flipping around on some channel, and I heard Renegades of Funk, their Africa Bambaataa cover, which is the title, basically the title cut. And it was so good, I was like, I got to re-get that. And then there it was, $4.99. So I did that. And then I got the Against Me Transgender Dysphoria Blues, which again I used to have, but it got wiped out. This album is brilliant. I'm an Against Me fan, and but this is what made me a fan. I thought in the early days and all the way up to and before this album, Against Me was a good band, but they weren't like, I didn't consider them great, and I didn't consider them to be that special. But in this case, you know, this album really affected me. It really hit me. It gave me a new sense of empathy for transgender people, and I never had an issue before, but I mean, I really understand it from this perspective, because this is Laura Jane Grace really talking about her life at that point, and this is when she transitioned because she did have the gender dysphoria and decided to start transitioning into being a woman. So that's the story behind it. But you don't have to really be into the message. If you don't want to, you can just listen to some of the songs and enjoy it. Black Me Out is amazing. True Trans Soul Rebel, incredible tune. The title cut is great. Osama bin Laden as the Crucified Christ is good. Fuck My Life 666, also really good. So great record. So I'm glad I re-picked that one up. So now let's go backwards a little bit to a previous time I went to a record store, and I hadn't made a video, so we'll just discuss this stuff. I finally did get the Fiona Apple on vinyl. Of course, if you look back, and I'll link to it here, I already did a full-length review video with my friend Matt, and so we discussed the album in depth, about a 40-minute discussion of the record and why it's so great. But here's the actual album itself. So she does have custom labels, which are really cool. It's kind of got that cartoonish sort of font that's on the album, and then it's just white vinyl. And both of them are white. It's great. And it sounds really, really good. I'd only heard the record on Spotify before, because that was the only place you could get it, was digitally. And now that I hear the vinyl, this is an album that really some sort of analog presentation is going to be better because there's so many odd sounds used in the record and people banging on stuff in her house and piano and just multiple voices and stuff going on. And it's a really, really great package. So even though I've had the album for 3 months and was listening to it nonstop, I still felt compelled to buy it. And it is a great package from Fiona. I also picked up this record from Boy Genius. And Boy Genius is, I believe, just a one-off collaboration, but I don't know. But the people on there, that's Phoebe Bridgers, who I've been talking about a lot on the channel. That's Julian Baker, and then that's Lucy Dacus. All three independently are artists in their own right, solo artists, and I have releases by all of them. Mostly Lucy Dacus. I think I have 3 or 4 things from her. I've only got the one Phoebe Bridgers, and then the Better Oblivion Community Center thing that she also did. And then I have one record from Julian Baker. They're all great singer-songwriters in their own right. They did this little collaboration. It's only 6 songs. Came out on Matador a few years ago. And at the time, I didn't think I was interested, and so I kind of blew it off. This time, now that I've gotten really into Phoebe Bridgers, I decided to check it out, and it is really good. My only complaint is it's short. It just goes by too quickly. A couple more CDs that I got. The Courtney Barnett MTV Unplugged in Melbourne. A couple of things about this. One, I didn't know MTV still did Unplugged because MTV in the United States doesn't bother with music except when they have a VMA award show and then they pretend like they play videos and all that stuff. So I guess MTV Australia is a little bit cooler. They still have some other stuff. So here it is. It is good. It's a good performance. I love Courtney Barnett. I'm going to get anything she puts out. So, take that for what it's worth. I liked it. It's not nearly as good as a new Courtney album, but I will take it in the interim because she gets slower and slower between records. So who knows? We might not see something for like 2022 or something, another album from Courtney Barnett. So take it while you can. I picked up another Blue Oyster Cult, Fire of Unknown Origin. This was like $3.99. I would have preferred to have it on vinyl to go with my BOC vinyl collection because I don't have this one on there, but you can't beat $3.99. And of course, I've heard this album before. This is the one with Burning for You and Terms of Psychic Warfare and stuff. But believe it or not, I didn't actually own the album. So now another Blue Oyster Cult. And then L7 has reissued the Smell the Magic record that they did for Sub Pop in remastered form. And of course, Sub Pop makes their CD cases very much like an LP. It's cardboard and you got the gatefold and all that. The one thing I would say is, as much as I love L7, I don't see the point of this reissue because there's not a single bit of bonus material whatsoever. Like, I feel like they could have put out a live recording from that period. They could have put out some, maybe they don't have demos, maybe they don't have outtakes, but why reissue the album with nothing? Right? I mean, am I missing something? It's an awesome album, but what was wrong with the original one, I guess, is what my question would be. So, that's just me. Okay, and then right at the beginning, I told you about some records that I bought pre-quarantine, and then I put them on the side of my record box, or my record, storage, and forgot that they were there. And then when I was trying to file away some other stuff, I realized all of a sudden, I never did anything with these. I never even listened to them. I didn't do anything. So let's go through those really quick because they weren't, well, I won't characterize it ahead of time. Here's some Roxy Music live EP called The High Road. It's only 4 songs. And when I got it, I didn't realize it was live because you have to read the fine print to see that it was recorded at the Apollo Theater in Glasgow back in '82. Okay, so I didn't read all that fine print. I just thought it was a Roxy Music EP, but it is live. Side 1 is 2 original Roxy cuts, and then the B-sides are, and side B, Like a Hurricane and Jealous Guy. So Neil Young and John Lennon covers. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it. I'm not a major Roxy Music fan. I'm trying to hear more of their stuff, but this was very good nonetheless. So Roxy Music, The High Road. I saw this for like $2. It's the Flirts, 10 cents a dance. Now these girls are a pretty forgettable all-girl pop band from the early 80s, but they did have a hit with Jukebox, Don't Put Another Dime, or Don't Put Another Dime in the Jukebox. That was their hit. I have a Flirts cassette that I bought one time at like a truck stop for $1. And but I don't really play cassettes anymore, so I got this. Besides 10 cents besides, I'm sorry, Don't Put Another Dime in the Jukebox, there's nothing memorable about this, but that is a pretty standout hit, so I guess for a buck or two I don't really care. But yeah, if I was looking for some deeper Flirts cuts that might have been good, they weren't there. I didn't see them anyways. Okay, Scandal. Sometimes says Scandal featuring Patti Smythe. Doesn't on this one. This is just an EP that came out with a bunch of her hits, except for The Warrior, which is part of their biggest hit, but this predates The Warrior. It's got Goodbye to You on it, Love's Got a Line on You, Win Some, Lose Some. Well, those are the ones I know. The other two tracks, She Can't Say No and Another Bad Love, I wasn't familiar with, but they were decent. It's good early 80s mainstream pop, but well done. Patti Smythe always had a great voice, in my opinion. Not good enough to be in Van Halen, which is a weird little side note I'm going to tell you about if you maybe heard this story. But when David Lee Roth left Van Halen and before they got Sammy Hagar, Eddie Van Halen actually wanted Patti Smythe to be the singer and tried to get her to come out to his studio to like audition with them or play with them or something. She was pregnant and didn't think it would be a good idea and passed. And I'm saying, in terms of rock and roll history, I don't know how that would have gone, frankly, because I hate Van Hagar. I was about to say I hate Sammy Hagar. I don't. I just hate Van Hagar. I don't see how this could have been good, putting Patti Smythe in Van Halen. But you know what? It couldn't have been worse than Van Hagar or Gary Sharon, as far as I'm saying. Okay. Next up was After the Fire. I got this for $2. You might not remember these guys, but they did an English version cover of Der Kommissar, the song by Falco. And I heard this one first because it was all over MTV, and it did have a pretty cool video, so I remember Der Kommissar when I was like 12, and then I remember hearing that it was actually a remake of a German song, and they were doing it in English. And of course, the Falco version is far superior to this. The rest of this record is the most forgettable, boring, early 80s generic schlock that I've almost ever heard. It's no wonder these guys are only known as the one cover song, because the rest of this is just, it's totally forgettable. And speaking of forgettable, here's the Babies. Okay. The album is called The Union Jacks. Of course, this is the band that features Jonathan Cain, who later went on to Journey, John Waite, who was a solo artist, and then these guys got back together in that band Bad English after Journey broke up. This is super generic AOR, late 70s, early 80s, maybe it's 1980 stuff. It is bad beyond belief, and there's some songs that are so cringeworthy. This one called Jesus, Are You There? Is just, I felt embarrassed for them for even coming up with this nonsense. So I've always heard these things like the Babies are secretly kind of cool, and no, I didn't think so anyways. So I didn't like it. I felt it was like a complete waste. I didn't even get a minute of good music out of it on that thing. Like none. All right, everybody. That's pretty much all I got. I hope you dug this one. I'm willing now to venture out into the stores again. I'm definitely going to get more out of the next record store day because I know they have that replacements thing and I really want it. So we'll see. We'll be back in action with more videos. I've got a couple more of my Zoom ones coming up too. So you got a lot to look forward to here at The Dark Stuff. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.